to talk a little bit about gun control. I'm going to give you some facts, some statistics about the gun ownership rate, homicide rates in the United States, and kind of compare them to other nations in the world. All right, I'm also going to discuss why overly restrictive gun control laws in the United States are bad for the citizens of the United States. Next slide. So first, I'm going to talk about Susanna Hupp. So Susanna Hupp and her mother and father in 1991 were at a local Luby's in Killeen, Texas, when a gunman broke into the cafeteria and then started a mass shooting. During that time, Susanna Hupp, who usually kept a handgun in her purse, realized on that day she had left it in her car in order to obey the law. Once she realized that it was not in her purse, she felt scared, obviously, but she wrote this: my gun was out of my car 100 yards away, completely useless to me because I wanted to obey the law. So she was completely defenseless there. Her father actually tried to disarm the gunman and ended up getting fatally shot. So eventually Susanna Hupp escaped the cafeteria, but her mother and father, as well as 21 other people in the cafeteria, ended up dying during that event. Next. So next we'll talk about how overly restrictive gun laws did not really actually stop the problem. So in Chicago, approximately 1980, they decided to ban handguns in the city. So since then, you can see here, since the outset of the Chicago handgun ban, the percentage of Chicago murders had committed with handguns averaged about 40% higher than before they enacted that law. So obviously, banning the guns did not stop any crime, and it actually, during that period, rose from 1980 to 2007. So also in Mexico, just south of us, they have very restrictive gun control laws there, and there's actually only one store in which the state runs that you are able to purchase guns. However, as I'll show you later, they have about 4 times as much murders per capita. All right, next slide, please. All right, so here we're looking at the per capita murders and gun ownership rate. The bottom bar here is the number per capita of gun ownership rate. You'll notice that the United States is way out here, by far number 1 in the world for gun ownership rate per capita. And then, so you also see here on the other axis, this is showing murders per capita. And you'll notice that the United States, as compared to these other middle-income countries, is roughly average. So you'll see here, as compared to Mexico, they're at least 3 times higher in the murders per capita, even though we have significantly more ownership per capita. Next slide, please. So again, here, a lot of times in the news and political figures will use statistics in order to compare the United States murder rate to other countries. However, if you only compare it to Western Europe, you can see here we look at United States 4, United Kingdom 1 per 100,000 persons in 2013. Again, Germany 1, France 1. But when you compare us to other countries in the Americas, say Mexico, 19 per 100,000 persons, and Brazil 27, Jamaica 43, Canada is low at 1, but Peru is 7. You can see that based on the statistics here, if you only compare it to a certain set that may not be representative of the whole, then we look bad, but overall we are not that bad. Next. All right, so the real purpose behind the Second Amendment and the citizens' right to bear arms in the United States was for us to be able to defend ourselves from criminals and tyrannical governments. All right, so Thomas Jefferson wrote, No free man shall be debarred the use of arms within his own lands or tenements. All right, so that was an abstraction from the Virginia drafts of the Virginia Constitution. Further, so the Second Amendment, right to bear arms, it is really there in order to protect the citizens of the United States against tyrannical government. There have been many instances throughout history of government disarming their citizens and then going on mass genocides. These Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong are just a few examples in which overall roughly 60 to 80 million people died because these governments disarmed their people. The people were helpless to defend themselves, and then they were slaughtered. Next slide. So in conclusion, overly restrictive gun control laws do not stop the problem. All they really do is restrict a law-abiding citizen's ability to protect themselves, defend themselves against criminals and tyrannical governments. And we saw a statistical analysis that shows that comparatively, based on a very high per capita gun ownership rate, we are comparatively low in the homicides per capita. So here, the right to bear arms is not meant for hunting animals. Really, the right to bear arms and a citizen's right and ability to own and secure themselves with weapons is to defend themselves against criminals and tyrannical governments. Thank you very much.